Squidward, you know who's kind of a tragic case is fucking Plankton. Dude's in a pretty brutal predicament, man. Trying to make something of value with that fucking restaurant he has, turning to fucking automated assistants for some semblance of intimacy. No one hangs out with the dude. And granted, I mean, he's definitely, he exhibits, a sort of antisocial to, outright, even maybe a bit sociopathic impulse. Success above everything. But just can't seem to do the calculus of why don't people want this burger? What is it about the Krusty Krab? And perhaps the saddest things, it seems the Krusty Krab is afloat on the basis of care, consideration of love, a sort of like hospitality component to it. Not crabs. Crabs is irrelevant to the operation. It's the worker, the passion that SpongeBob has for the art of the cheeseburger, you know? It's what makes the Krusty Krab what it is, and you can't refine that to a science. It's almost like a weird kind of like anti-industrialization narrative. Because he doesn't realize that the recipe itself isn't what's most significant. It's not just the pride he has in the work, it's the ways in which you can then like tangibly witness that. The enthusiasm for something that's handcrafted. Wait, there's lore behind it? Krabs and Plankton were friends who worked at a burger restaurant? Oh, I didn't know that. Interesting. SpongeBob loves working as a wage slave. I don't think it's about being a wage slave. I think it's that he's at peace with his labor regardless of how it is the world dignifies it. I think that there's more poetry to it. I think he's much like Sisyphus. SpongeBob's kind of an absurdist. He doesn't bother trying to identify the meaning of things or resisting his circumstances. He strictly is and is at peace with being. It's kind of radical. Just found a way to derive fulfillment from creating the very best burger he can. If anything, I think it's pretty obvious through it how, like, exploited SpongeBob is, but I think it's moreover that exploitation's kind of, like, central to a lot of these processes, and to derive some modicum of fulfillment or peace through it is ideal. Do what you can to, like, in any way, like, ameliorate or improve your circumstances, through whatever kind of action or recourse you have available to you. But to be like, I'm here to most meaningfully absorb and enjoy the time I've been granted, I think is empowering. It's a true absurdist treatise. It's nice. Like, SpongeBob kind of is, the more I think about it, the perfect absurdist. There's no time dwelling on either the meaning of or the lack of meaning intrinsic to life, but rather just an enjoyment of exactly what it is he has before him. It's like an I don't care what the meaning of life is, He's got his snail, he's got his home, he's got his friends, he has a craft that he derives some degree of personal fulfillment and progression through. He's just kind of like, regardless of how stagnant it may be, he's at least internalized that life need not be about constant progress in a linear kind of corporatist capacity, and that it could just be about the progress is in my capacity to enjoy that which I'm doing, and remaining true to that trajectory and giving my most earnest effort to the people I love and the thing that I love doing. He's actually kind of dope, man. He's kind of extra Emily. There are a lot of like really deep philosophical themes, whereas Squidward is very much like a nihilist, right? Kind of like just melt in the drudge of monotony and lament it and see his life as being as lacking value because it isn't necessarily like emblematic of the luster or prestige that he sees himself as being capable of. And rather than realizing that all of those adornments and garnishes are for all intents and purposes only for status alone, and that despite that, he has a close friend he lives nearby who cares about him. He has his hobbies, his interests. It's that he feels betrayed by, in many ways, the imperatives of the world he was brought up in that told him that if he did all these things, he would be celebrated. Rather than doing those things because he loves them, he expects some kind of, social currency or rapport. And that's the issue. He seems to be doing everything with either the resentment of his, lack of status or the lack of, let's say, social appraisal. This kind of what I'm doing doesn't feel as if it's exalted in society, and it feels fruitless because of the lack of exaltation, rather than realizing that there's still a craft you could come to hone and enjoy and derive fulfillment through. Because most people are going to be stuck in that. It's like two sides of the same coin. Like, I did everything right. Why don't I have this life of social celebration, celebrity, status, etc., in comparison to someone like SpongeBob, who's like, he does everything because it feels right, not because it is right, not because it's what's prescribed to him. He's very much within himself and happy to, live in accordance to his own personal ethos and impulse. It's kind of cool. It's kind of fucking cool. And Mr. Krabs is kind of in his own way, perpetually, I don't even know if insecure is the right word. In a way, I suppose, but He's so preoccupied and obsessed with wealth and the accrual of wealth, despite it not... Like, SpongeBob is the happiest, most capable and caring person in this entire universe, despite having arguably the second to worst circumstances. Are these based on philosophers? Because Squidward's kind of Diogenes the Cynic, you know? Dude literally lives under a rock, and is just like this captivating peanut gallery with these occasional nuggets of wisdom. It's kind of interesting. Steven Hillenburg was really smart. Yeah, I actually knew one of the head writers. Or I didn't really know him, but he taught at my university. He was a fucking nightmare, though. Kind of a hack. I mean, clearly, like, a capable creator, but was just obsessed with the status he procured through it. Like, writing for SpongeBob was a very weird, surreal presence on campus in that he was, like, hell-bent on almost, like, womanizing his students and, like, garnering their amazement. It was real strange. He would just, like, fucking play, like, 4 hours of Entourage instead of lecture. Wouldn't grade assignments, stopped showing up to class after like 2 weeks because he fell in love with a sushi waitress, gave everyone B pluses, like just totally fucking bizarre. Had an end of class party where he like really tried to like buddy up with the students in ways that were odd. I almost don't want to like incriminate the guy, but he definitely would like try to coach you through, if you want to make it in Hollywood, you gotta be willing to party kind of thing. This is what it takes. Apparently, you know, did great though with the writing. Now he sounds like Diogenes? No way. Diogenes would have said fuck all of that, dude. The dude literally like fucking rejected a life of luxury that he was born into to live in a fucking like barrel in like shit in public. He just like rejected all semblance of luxury or luster.